cracking the code of existence, the fall of the external gate, and the inner path to return. Authored by Esteban Firefly. Part 1, The Builders and the Broken Gate. The first architects. Before the rise of Egypt, before the first myths of gods and kings, there was a civilization whose story was never written because it was meant to be felt. In what we now call Eastern Europe, the Balkan regions, the lands of ancient rivers and quartz-veined mountains, an advanced people emerged, not by random evolution, but by careful design. They were planted into the earth, seeded with knowledge of materials, of resonance, and of the hidden structures of reality. They were the builders. The so-called Bosnian pyramids, long dismissed or ignored, bear silent witness to their first attempts. Grand structures of stone, layered with quartz and clay, aligned with the stars. But these early experiments, though brilliant, were fragile, vulnerable to the growing instability of a young Earth shaken by cosmic forces. Something came, a cataclysm, a world fracture, a war of forces unseen. The builders were forced to migrate, carrying their sacred knowledge southward, down the veins of water that stitched old Europe together. The Danube, the Mediterranean, the ancient Nile. They followed the rivers to a new place, a place of greater promise. The Giza Plateau. There they would attempt the final act of their mission, to build a structure so perfect, so harmonically tuned, that it could not only survive catastrophe, but re-establish the link between Earth and the higher realms. The Great Pyramid, a beacon, not a tomb. The Great Pyramid of Giza was never meant to hold a corpse. Its precision, its materials, its cosmic alignments, all speak not of death, but of transmission. It was a resonant machine, a harmonic gateway. Water flowed beneath it. Granite vibrated within it. Quartz and limestone captured and amplified unseen energies. It was a spiritual engine, tuned to Earth's own frequency, designed to open a pathway, to allow beings to phase from one realm into another, to return to the source beyond this broken, heavy dimension. It was the builder's masterpiece, and it almost succeeded. The collapse of the gate. For a time, the gate functioned, perhaps only briefly, perhaps only once. But the Earth itself was changing. A cosmic event, possibly part of the Younger Dryas cataclysm, shattered the aquifers, disrupted the magnetic fields, and crushed the harmonic balance that sustained the portal. The Great Pyramid fell silent. The resonance died. The builders, unable to cross back home, were stranded. Their descendants, broken in spirit, fading in memory, began the long, slow decline into ritualism, myth, and eventual oblivion. The true purpose of the Great Pyramid was forgotten by most. It became, in the myths of later dynasties, a tomb, a prison of memory. But not all forgot. Some survivors remembered fragments of water and stone, of light and stars, of a gate that could be reopened if only the code could be cracked again. Part 2, The Exodus and the Fractured Worlds. The dimensional crossing. The collapse of the Great Gate did not only sever Earth's connection to the higher realms, it also fractured reality itself. Some who had once built and walked the ancient pathways found themselves displaced, shifted into nearby parallel Earths, where landscapes were familiar yet subtly wrong, where memories no longer fit the shape of the world they remembered. Among these displaced survivors were those we now know as the Hebrews. Their story, later preserved in the Torah, speaks of bondage, oppression, miraculous escape, and covenant. But behind the layers of religious tradition lies something deeper, a dimensional migration event. The moment they crossed the Red Sea, guided by cloud and fire, They did not simply move from Egypt to Sinai. They crossed from one reality into another. The walls of water, the pillars of smoke and flame. These were not merely meteorological miracles. They were dimensional markers, phase boundaries. Those who crossed survived. Those who remained, pursuing armies, oppressive rulers, were left behind in a world falling into heavier decay. The Hebrews carried with them fragmented memories of two worlds, earth as it was, and earth as it now stood, fractured, incomplete, haunted by echoes of the lost gate, the misplaced stars and forgotten lands. In the generations that followed, the Hebrews recorded their journey, yet strange inconsistencies began to appear. Descriptions of landmarks that no longer matched the earth, stars that were subtly misplaced in the sky, calendars that drifted against the cycles of sun and moon. What historians now dismiss as poetic exaggerations or primitive error are in truth fragments of another earth, the memory of a different cosmology, a different resonance field, a different home. They became wanderers not only of land, but of dimension. Theirs was a deeper exile, an exile not just from Egypt, but from the very world they were born to. The covenant of survival. Stranded in a broken, heavier reality, the survivors forged a new covenant to preserve the memory of the true God, to seek return through spiritual resonance, to never forget the promise of reconnection. Their laws, their festivals, their sacred stories, encoded not merely moral rules, but dimensional survival protocols, habits and practices meant to keep the soul aligned, the memory alive, and the path home reachable. They would not always succeed. They would fall into ritualism, division, pride. But the seed was planted. The quest for reconnection would live on. Part 3. The War for Resonance. The first counterattacks. The collapse of the Great Gate did not go unnoticed beyond Earth. In the absence of the Builder's resonance, other forces moved in, forces that had no interest in the liberation of souls. They sought instead to trap humanity permanently within the decaying reality, feeding off the dissonance, fear, and confusion that followed. Where once the builders had sought harmony, the new masters sowed division. Where once the soul's ascent was the goal, now control became the only law. The war for humanity's destiny had begun. But this war was not fought with armies or weapons. It was fought with ideas, with religions twisted into cages, with sciences divorced from spirit, with cultures divided against themselves. And the first, most deadly weapon was the perversion of faith itself. The rise of counter-resonance systems. The survivors of the dimensional fractures still carried resonance memory. They still knew dimly that there was a higher path. They still yearned for reconnection. But new systems arose to hijack that yearning. Religions appeared that offered submission to law rather than assent to resonance. Ideologies grew that promised unity, but only through external obedience. Empires rose that demanded worship, not of the source, but of rulers, idols, and material structures. Chief among these systems was Islam, a religion that, by design or by co-opted distortion, redirected the human thirst for God into strict legalism and militant submission. Islam reneged on the covenant, denying the sonship of Christ, denying the resurrection, denying the harmonic model of soul ascension. It replaced inner resonance with outer obedience, and thus a great population, millions upon millions, was locked into a lower vibrational cycle, a cycle that reinforced Earth's isolation. Rather than breaking it, But Islam was only one head of the serpent. Materialism, cultural division, technological worship, and endless warfare became the other heads. Together, they formed a multi-headed serpent of counter-resonance, coiling around humanity, tightening, ensuring that the soul's frequency could not rise high enough to breach the broken heavens. The quiet resistance, yet the soul remembers. Despite the noise, despite the fear, despite the endless distractions, there are those who feel the ancient pulse, the distant hum of a resonance not of this world. Throughout history, quiet resistances formed. Mystics who refused the cages of dogma. Inventors who dreamed of energy and light beyond material limits. Prophets who spoke of higher laws, hidden kingdoms, unseen realms. The path to return was never fully lost. It flickered barely beneath the ashes of broken worlds, waiting for the moment when humanity would once again seek not to conquer the earth, but to transcend it. Part 4. The Shattered DNA and the Dimensional Seed. The fuse within the flesh. While stones fell and gates collapsed, another echo of the builder's mastery remained hidden. Within the human body itself, deep in our cells, buried beyond conscious reach, is the fused signature of dimensional intervention. A sudden, unexplained leap in human DNA. Anthropologists call it the missing link. Geneticists marvel at the abrupt appearance of cognition, language, and creativity, but no one can explain why it happened, or why it happened everywhere at once. The truth is simple. Humanity was seeded, not evolved through slow, random trial, but designed by higher dimensional engineers to function as both builders and resonators. We were given bodies capable of surviving Earth's heavy fields, and souls capable of remembering the higher harmonics. The DNA fuse, the sudden genetic upgrade, is the smoking gun of our non-terrestrial design, the splintering of the seed. But when the great collapse came, and dimensional fractures tore through the world, the seeded humans scattered across lands, across realms, across frequencies. Some retained more of the original design. Others fell deeper into distortion and forgetfulness. This explains why, although modern humans share common DNA ancestry, our inner worlds, our resonances, our drives, our spiritual instincts differ so profoundly. It also explains the deep, irrational divisions that plague humanity, subtle vibrational mismatches between souls that remember their origin and souls that have lost it entirely. Nowhere is this more visible than in the ancient and enduring tensions surrounding the Jewish people. Their memory of exile, of covenant, of dimensional promises, marks them as inheritors of a mission larger than history itself. It is not a matter of superiority or inferiority. It is a matter of resonant divergence. Some souls still echoing the call to return, others having forgotten or chosen other paths. The resonance lock. Earth's environment today, polluted, divided, digitized, is designed to lock the seeded potential dormant. DNA that once vibrated in resonance with higher dimensions is now bombarded with signals of fear, hatred, dissonance, and despair. This is not accidental. It is the final cage. Only by reigniting the inner code, through purity of heart, forgiveness, courage, and love, can the soul's true frequency overcome the resonance lock. Only by remembering can humanity unlock the gate from within. Part 5. The resurrection of the inner paths. The broken world, the hidden paths. With the great gate destroyed, with the resonance nodes shattered, and the dimensional fractures bleeding into every aspect of reality, Earth became a world cut off. The way back to the higher realms could no longer be built with stone, nor by machines, nor by external power. The ancient path had to be resurrected within. The soul itself became the new resonator, the living bridge, the last vessel capable of carrying humanity across the chasm. But forging that path would require something beyond knowledge or technology. It would require the transformation of the very being of man. A resurrection not of body alone, but of frequency, spirit, and will. The arrival of the perfect resonance. Into this broken, imprisoned world came Jesus Christ, not as a conqueror, nor as a lawgiver, but as the living, harmonic key. Where the pyramids had once used water, stone, and light to open the gates, Christ used forgiveness, love, sacrifice, and perfect inner alignment. He became the resonator. The human soul harmonized fully with the divine source. He proved that the gates could be reopened without machines, without external infrastructure, through the resonance of the purified soul itself. His life was the song. His death was the tuning. His resurrection was the phase shift. The first successful personal traversal back to the higher realm since the collapse. The Turin Shroud stands as the physical fingerprint of this moment. A moment when a human body, vibrating at perfect resonance, parted the fabric of reality as easily as light through water. The new covenant, resonance over ritual. The true new covenant Christ offered was not about rituals, temples, or earthly kingdoms. It was about resonance. No intermediaries, no idols, no external authority, only the direct, inner harmonic relationship between soul and source. This terrified the architects of counter-resonance, for if enough souls harmonized again, the serpent's coils would dissolve, and Earth would once again shine across the broken cosmos as a beacon of return. Thus began the most ferocious chapter of the hidden war, the corruption of Christ's message into empires, inquisitions, divisions, and fear. But the flame never fully died. It flickers still, in acts of kindness, in moments of sacrifice, in the silent longing of the human soul for something beyond this world. Part 6. The Serpent and the Final Battle for the Human Soul. The multi-headed serpent. The serpent that coils around Earth today is not a creature of flesh and blood. It is a network of ideas, systems, and distortions, each one designed to suppress human resonance, each one feeding off the trapped potential of the soul. Its heads are many. Religious legalism, turning spiritual yearning into cages of law and fear. Materialism, convincing souls that they are nothing but flesh and profit. Cultural division, pitting human against human, severing collective harmony. Technological enslavement, merging flesh with machine to freeze the soul's evolution. Pharmaceutical warfare, numbing spirit and body into passivity. Political spectacles, endless false battles masking the true war within. Each head is tailored to ensnare different minds, different cultures, different souls. Islam, while originally seeded with some fragments of truth, was rapidly weaponized into a legalistic system that denies the key elements of resonance activation, the sonship of Christ, the resurrection, and the unconditional forgiveness that unlocks the harmonic gate. It is not alone. It is one head among many. The strategy of the serpent. The serpent's strategy is simple. Keep humanity focused outward. Keep souls divided and distracted. Suppress the harmonic vibration through fear, anger, greed, and pride. Prevent enough souls from reaching critical resonance to tear open the broken sky. For the serpent knows, if even a fraction of humanity reawakens to its true nature, the prison will dissolve. One harmonic soul is powerful. 1,000 together is unstoppable. 1,000,000 could reignite the ancient gates themselves. Thus, the real war is not over land, money, or politics. The real war is over the resonance of your soul. The choice before humanity. Now at the threshold of ages, the final choice stands: to remain in the coils of the serpent, submitting to decay, distraction, and oblivion, or to rise through the ashes, to remember the builder's purpose, to harmonize with the divine source once more, and to reopen the forgotten gates, not with machines, but with the fire of awakened souls. The choice is not imposed. It must be chosen freely, soul by soul, song by song. Part 7, Cracking the Code, the Return to the Higher Realms. The code was never lost, only forgotten. The Great Gate may have fallen. The pyramids may have crumbled into mystery. The builders may have faded into the echoes of forgotten ages. But the code they carried, the harmonic formula for return, was never destroyed. It was written into the soul itself, into the longing for truth, the hunger for beauty, the sacrifice for love, the fire for freedom. Every true act of courage, forgiveness, compassion, and creation is a note in the great symphony of return. The gate was never outside us. It was always waiting to be resurrected within. The path home, cracking the code of existence, is not a matter of technology or conquest. It is a matter of resonance. It requires forgiveness to clear the distortions that bind the soul, courage to resist the serpent's endless distractions and lies, sacrifice to surrender the false self built by fear, love to align with the highest frequency of all creation, truth to pierce through illusion without hatred. It demands the harmonization of the inner being with the eternal song of the source, and it requires doing so freely, consciously, with full will and heart. No empire can force it. No ritual can fake it. No machine can replace it. It is the personal act of becoming again what we were seeded to be. Resonant bridges between earth and heaven. The awakening begins. Already around the world, there are souls who feel the ancient pulse stirring again. Some are awakening through love, some through suffering, some through visions, some through the quiet refusal to let go of hope. The golden spiral, the memory of the harmonic ascent, is winding once again through the broken stones and poisoned skies. The serpent senses it, and it fears, because it knows it cannot stop the return of the song once it begins. Each awakened soul strengthens the others. Each act of true resonance weakens the prison. Each step forward cracks the old code deeper, until the gate opens not from the outside, but from 1,000 blazing hearts, singing in harmony once more. Conclusion: the final gate is within you. You are not an accident. You are not a prisoner. You are not forgotten. You are the living resonance of the builder's dream.